Hello and good morning. My name is Momo. I am advisor at NewCampus, a new business school in Southeast Asia that is trying to make modern leadership more accessible to everybody. And today with me, I have a good friend of mine, Joao Flores. He's the regional executive creative director at Media.Monks. As you may know, Media.Monks is a global creative production company that partners with clients and industries to produce great work. It's originally funded it's a Dutch company, right, from 2011, and now it's managed by Sir Martin Sorrell through S4. It's in over 30 countries, and now it's a compendium of nearly a dozen companies, if I'm correctly. And today I'm super excited to welcome you, Joao. I would love to maybe give you a couple of minutes to just tell us a brief story of like who you are and why is it so exciting for you to be where you are right now. Yeah. Good morning.
Well, thank you so much, and I'm really excited to be here. It's early in the morning, but it's very exciting. So thank you so much, and thank you for the nice introduction about Media.Monks. I'll tell you a little bit
Sure.
more later.
Sure.
Let's start from the beginning. Maybe something
Yeah.
interesting
Please.
about me, which is unique, I would say, is I was a football player. I was a professional football player.
Oh
Not
wow.
many people knows that. Well, but it's part of my story, and I'm Portuguese. So being Portuguese, football is part of our culture, and I grew up as a professional football player. Played in Benfica, the national team, all
Right.
of that, um, and I never had quite a realization or an ambition
Mm-hmm.
to do anything else.
Hmm.
Um, but it always something quite frustrated inside of me. Well, you grow up as a teenager, you don't understand what that is, and then connecting the dots with Media.Monks.
Yeah.
I gave a last chance to my career when I was like 22, 23 years old, and I went to Holland to
Mm-hmm.
play football.
Right.
So I speak a little
Nice.
bit of Dutch even. I went to Holland play
Uh-huh.
football, and then I had an epiphany there. Until
Wow.
you actually have it, you don't know what it is.
Right.
Everything stopped, and in that moment, I decided
Right.
to look. I'm going to stop doing this. Creativity, imagination. It's just been always my drive. Philosophy,
Right.
photography, cinema. This was like I was 23 years old. I
Right.
decided I'm going to stop doing this. I'm going to be a creative in advertising.
Uh-huh.
And today I can still say I'm 42. I have a 20-year-old daughter, but the happiest day of my life is still today, the first day that I entered Low in Portugal.
Hmm.
It was
Hmm.
arriving to a place, arriving to some
Right.
place that completely makes sense to
Yeah.
me. And that's really where it starts my journey. And a lot of my experience, not only as a leader, but as a creative, comes
Right.
definitely from my journey. Um,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
from
Mm-hmm.
Low, I went into a couple of Portuguese agencies, from Ogilvy,
Right.
BBDO, and then I started
Mm.
becoming a leader in two hot shops in Portugal, Bar and New. But when everything really started to open up for me, where the dots really started to connect, was around 2010 when
Mm-hmm.
I went to
Mm-hmm.
Shell, the
Hmm.
Samsung agency, which I have
Right.
a funny
Right.
joke that works really well in Korea, which is I say it with all my heart that I'm the only creative in the world that loved working at Shell. I absolutely loved Shell. Is a massive impact on my life.
Right.
The reason for
That's
that
awesome.
is because you go from being very boxed that I always felt in my profession as a creative to a
Yeah.
complete realm of possibilities with Shell. 2010, a phone on your hand.
Right.
Everything starts here. It's all about the screens and
Yeah.
all Internet of Things.
Yeah.
What's next? All of the propositions that Samsung was kind of pushing forward was absolutely incredible. And I was
Right.
creative director of Portugal and Spain. So I was always traveling around. Um,
Right.
to this conversation as well, I saw the growth of Chile in Europe, and I
Mm.
was part of that process. Was absolutely incredible being part of that regional
Yeah.
um, ecosystem. So this has been really an interesting journey, and from Shell,
Mm.
the world just opened up to me. Not only the world of creativity and
Yeah.
and and, and the realm of things I can do as a creative,
Right.
but also what leadership means, what is actually a global culture, how can you
Mm.
be part of that global culture. It's really
Yeah.
interesting. From there, I went to Dubai.
Yeah.
Couple of years there
Nice.
by FCB, 2015 when FCB started. Susan Cradle became the global CCO, and this all
Yeah.
creative first thinking. Um, it was absolutely incredible again. I've
That's
joked a
awesome.
lot of saying when I was in Shell rebranded. We went to FCB rebranded. I came to Dentistry rebranded. I came to Media.Monks, and 6 months ago we rebranded. So that is something here happening quite.
Something's following you. I
Yeah,
see
I
a
don't know.
pattern. I see the pattern.
I I don't believe in luck, but I believe that I am privileged, and I am very grateful
Yeah.
for that journey.
Yeah.
um,
No, that's great. That's great. Thank you for sharing that. I think to me rebranding is almost is a version of reinvention, right? It's like companies can reinvent themselves, people can reinvent themselves. And I have a question maybe at New Campus we often try to focus on skill sets that help people to navigate and to have impact, to understand, to influence modern organizations. And we've seen a lot of shifts, a lot of changes happening in different types of organizations. In like your case, what are some of the biggest changes that you've seen in the industry, right? In your industry, in the creative landscape of your industry, what are
it
some
is
of
this,
those things that you think
yeah,
are very different today from how they were?
it's this thread. I explain it in a very simple way. We used to think, and we used to have a very media driven approach, and right now
Mm.
is a very experience driven approach. Um,
Hmm.
it was incredibly executional. Was driven by a format. Doesn't matter what that format was: a
Yeah.
website, or a TVC, or a post, or a radio, or an event. Was very driven by the format itself, and everything we
Right.
do right now is about experience. The experience that just opens up possibilities to the journeys of people and to connect with people. So I
Right.
feel that is the biggest change that I've seen.
Mm.
And I do feel when we think about what clients actually want,
Mm.
it does feel that for a while, and of course they all go after the hot shots things. I remember when
Right.
.com becomes a thing, when Facebook becomes a thing, when events become a thing. Now it's
I
everyone,
remember.
NFTs and metaverse. Like, for God's sake, people, come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, I do
Yeah.
feel they have too clear right now, that there is too
Hmm.
clear opposites in what triggers them, and what really
Right.
motivates brands and
Hmm.
clients. And actually I feel creatives as well should be triggered by those two, because they are directly connected. One of them is business as usual done really well. um, be
Hmm.
better, be smarter, be more efficient, be more creative. Doesn't matter if it is an EDM, or if it is a content film, or if it is a website or an app,
Yeah.
or just something to connect with people, like a chatbot. Doesn't matter what that
Right.
is. It needs to be done really, really well. And this it ensures the trust, and that's very much Media.Monks, actually one of our star propositions. If we
Mm.
do this better than anyone. And then the other
Hmm.
opposite is a completely different one, which is imagine different. They live in these
Mm.
two
Yeah.
extremes opposites
Yeah.
of do this really
Right.
well, build the trust, you build the foundation. We always have this
Yeah.
expression: we build the foundation, and now imagine different.
Right.
And
Yeah.
and it's a very privileged place to be, I would say, to just
Right.
be able to have the trust of a client to then do everything we wish we could do every day.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Super interesting. It's relatable to some extent. Many other industries look at it in a similar way. Say that trying to achieve a balance between discovery and delivery, similar as you said, like business as usual, executed really really well, and then imagine something radically new and different. Super interesting. And I think within I love the shift that you mentioned, going from maybe media based to more experiential based. What are maybe the skill sets that are necessary to then structure creative teams on this shift? How does that change how you hire? How does that change how you think? What's the role of talent here, and how does that
Yeah.
shift has affected it?
Thank you for that. Look, specifically for us, but I feel I even can share a little bit my personal experience. My personal experience has been all about culture and
Hmm.
understanding the new zeitgeist or the new culture, or where you are, and
Right.
understanding working culture. But there is that is definitely, sorry, there is an energy play right now.
Right.
We work at scale. It's
Hmm.
full on collaborative. I
Yeah.
use the
Yeah.
expression of flying the plane and building the plane at the same time. And if you don't
Yeah.
have that energy to
Right.
collaborate, right, the
Right.
richness of diversity that we have today in the world, the
Yeah.
globalization, we are everywhere.
Right.
You
Right.
really need to be. have an interest for collaborate with others. But for me,
Mm,
it's definitely the culture. To answer you very strictly,
mm,
give
mm.
space to people to be themselves. And specifically, when you talk about markets and being in Asia, you need to give
Right.
space to create their own subcultures. And that's actually the rebrand of
Right.
Media.Monks, was to create
Mm,
this aggregation of all the
mm.
companies mentioned and others that's going to join. But then everything becomes, social monks, data monks, Korea monks,
Yeah. Right.
Malaysia monks, Australia monks, and create what we call the subcultures. And if you think about from a
Right.
pure society point of view,
Mm.
it's exactly what it is. You give them the
Interesting.
voice, and we play on the strengths. And
Mm.
I cannot relate more with this. I'm a Portuguese, right? So globalista by nature.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And,
Right.
and and
Right.
a
Right.
trait of a Portuguese is you go to a
Right.
place, you adapt, you understand, and then you add value. This is like the 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 answer for all Portuguese
Yeah.
immigrants in the world. A capability to adapt and add value. And I do feel
Yeah.
that's exactly what you need to do when you are scaling
Mm.
teams, specifically in
Right.
markets like we have in Asia.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Maybe a follow-up question on that. I love how you portray this, and of course, I mean, I know quite a bit about MediaMarkt, so I know how you guys are set. I love the idea of having these multiple, almost like tribes, different groups. So that creates a very interesting sense of togetherness, yet allowing everybody to have almost their own identity within the organization, right?
Exactly
It's
that.
like jazz, together but on our own sort of
Oh
thing.
man, I'm
And
going to
and I
quote you on
wonder.
that. I'm going to quote you on like jazz. That's
Sure.
absolutely brilliant.
Sure, I heard it somewhere. I'm sure. I don't know where. But I think I imagine one of the challenges may also be on creating these new type of maybe integrated thinkers, right? So how do you balance, maybe having your own space and your own domain or your own function versus being integrated? What do you think is necessary for people to get to this kind of maybe integrative thinker? I don't know that
Uh,
term. And what
there's
advantage do you think it gives you?
Well, talent is everywhere, right?
Mm,
It's really it's play on the strengths and find where their talent is. That's key.
right.
Specifically for us in Asia, there's um, there's this interest of understanding. For instance, if you think about China or Singapore, they're more tech savvy. If you think
Hmm.
about Vietnam, is more
Right.
technology driven. If you think about Malaysia or Korea and Japan, they're more design and craft.
Right. Right.
India
Right.
or Thailand,
Interesting.
more film driven. So you understand the strengths. That's
Mm,
incredibly important to understand the strengths you have. Then you bring them
right.
together. And for us, the
Mm,
way to bring them together, I don't know if you know the concept of the Imagineers of Disney, bringing
mm-hmm.
Imagineer,
Yep.
it's basically bringing
Yep.
imagination and engineering together. I
Right.
would say that's basically Media Monks, but we call it the human craft. You just bring the human side of
Mm,
leadership, strategic thinking, conceptualization, experience driven, and then you
mm-hmm.
bring the craft. You bring the engineers, you bring the technical
Right.
aspect, and we call it the expert matters to deliver
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
what it needs to be delivered. There is always this kind of three pillar of local leadership, regional support, global expertise. So this trio of experts in what they do
Mm,
is how you bring them together.
right.
And I normally say is for me the most fascinating thing is watch
Mm,
people in different worlds, in different cultures
yeah.
coming
Yeah.
together. And specifically for us, is really understanding that look, and it's one of the selling propositions we have. We don't put
Right.
anything on the deck
Right.
that we do not know how to do.
Right.
Feasibility
Right.
tests,
Right.
from the
Yeah.
prototyping to the innovation to then bring it actually to life,
Right.
is where you bring these two worlds of human, the whole human first thinking, and then the craft and the maker and the attitude to deliver
Right.
in culture. It's extremely important to do that.
Yeah.
Find
Yeah.
the talent, play the strengths, bring it together to a
Yeah.
human journey.
Yeah, yeah, super interesting, and I think it eventually becomes a competitive advantage, right? When how you work, how you communicate, how you get things done, when you have your own flavor, your own take on how maybe you structure teams, how you facilitate working processes, the skill sets that people build in this environment, although they are transferable to other places, these skill sets play at their best in within this company. So it's actually is a great retention strategy as well, right? Having a
Yeah.
very clear way of working together help people to stay there. And this is probably particularly more important in the creative industry. Of course, I mean I was also in the creative industry, so I know the challenges of attracting and retaining talent as well. Um, and I think my next question goes a little bit onto that. I think um, you yourself through your career, but also Media.Monks, you have a unique approach to nurturing creative talent from within, especially within Media.Monks, right? So, in light of these new cultural shifts that we're seeing because of COVID, like the Great Resignation or the rise of anti-work on Reddit, what's your take on that? What do you think organizations can do to navigate this complexity? It's a delicate, complex topic, but I'm curious, what's your take on that?
Thank you for that question. And look, I'm going to answer in a very simple way.
Mm-hmm.
Listen.
Mm.
uh, adding
Yeah.
a layer which is an
Right.
active tool that all our creative
Right.
leaders are applying. We actually have
Yeah.
leadership and coaching sessions
Right.
for our senior leaders to do
Mm.
what we call listen for potential. And what that means is really give the voice to our teams.
Mm.
I can get you an example of what we are just currently doing. We are doing under 30
Sure.
grassroots sessions where basically
Mm.
we're trying to listen what it means to you working in
Mm.
creativity, what it means to you an office space, what it means to you the work you do, what it means to you a salary, what it means to you a promotion.
Mm.
And
Mm.
it's interesting that the rewarding system that was a rewarding system of 10 years ago, of 20 years ago, it's
Mm.
definitely not the rewarding system of younger
Right.
generations. So this
Right.
all exercise and an active tool of listen for potential basically allow us to give voice, empower our younger talent, and we expose them. We put them in front of clients. They are enablers of the
Right.
process and the culture within the company. But I would say after you listen, we really need to play action and then to take action
Mm.
into the things we are listening from,
Yeah.
and
Right.
definitely find the reward system that applies to them. And to be honest, to creatives even more sometimes is individual.
Right.
We are, as we speak, doing kind of an evaluation of people as well, and it's almost like individual reward systems. There is 3 or 4 common threads, from travel, collaboration, be
Yeah.
exposed to different teams, be able to go
Right.
from a UX team to an animation team.
Mm.
So it's really
Interesting.
interesting, but listen for potential, and then apply the
Mm-hmm.
right reward system to get people excited
Right.
and motivate the things they're doing.
Right. Interesting. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, I agree with you. That's a very interesting approach, and I love how you started with like the simplicity of being able to listen. And I think that's very important. There's a lot of noise right now, with a lot of obviously complicated matters happening in the world. But I think our ability to distinguish is from signal, right? And ability to listen, better to each other. I think that's the beginning of a lot of good things. Thank you for that. And I have maybe one question with like 2 questions within it. I don't know how to describe it. So I want to maybe hear your take on blind spots. What do you think are the blind spots, things that maybe people were not ready for when they just become a manager in the creative industry? But within the vein of blind spots as well, I would love to hear what do you think are blind spots that maybe creative leaders are having right now
I,
in the current industry?
I say quite often to creative leaders that when people die, they have one place to go. When a creative die, we have two. It's us and our ego. So I would that's the biggest blind
I love
spot
that.
for a creative leader. Uh, my simple take is it's not about you. It's never about you.
Hmm.
It's about
Right.
them. It's about your teams. When a leader comes to me and said, we shouldn't do this project because like it's not about you. It's about your team. When a
Hmm.
creative leader is
Hmm.
complaining about some type of client or
Right.
some type of project, it's not about you. It's about your team. So that I feel
Okay.
for creatives, the biggest blind spot we have, it's ego. Um,
Interesting.
what we need to
Ah,
do as leaders is really because there is power in ego. Okay, there is
yeah.
confidence, there is trust,
Yeah.
there
And
is
you can
leadership.
use it. You can articulate the use of it. I feel in ways that make sense sometimes, but it can also be, as you said, a damaging force.
Exactly. So when we use them for others, it's powerful. It's really
Mm-hmm.
powerful. And I feel
Yeah.
specifically when you are scaling as we are, and you are going
Right.
from a team of 9 to a team of 25 in 3 months, or you go for a team of 1 to a team of 6, or a team of, it's the
Right.
scale is so much. If you are not paying attention to others and to your teams,
Right.
it will not work. So I think
Right.
that's a lens that we pivot, and we create systems by design to make the leaders pay attention to their teams. So from weekly
Right. Right.
conversations, tools,
Right.
frameworks, the way they manage the process, the way they empower them, um, by
Yeah.
design. That's for me the key takeaway.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for saying, Joao. And maybe I would love to close just by maybe giving you a chance to tell us what are you excited about for yourself this year? What's something that is keeping you up at night in excitement, and something
Ah,
that you're looking
that's a
forward
good
to?
one. That's a good one. Look, I have a mission in life, honestly. And actually, because connect to the first or the second question you asked me about the changes you have
Hmm.
seen. I went
Hmm.
through 2008 as a creative. 2008 was the economic crisis. In
Mm.
that
Yeah.
point, creativity lost its plot. We
Mm.
stopped being listened, and we became purely executional as creatives. It was very frustrating
Mm.
to me. So for a while now, my biggest mission in life is to bring creativity back to the boardroom.
Mm.
So what makes what well keeps me awake at night is really being on those decision makings, giving voice to
Right.
creativity, make sure our teams
Mm. Hmm.
understand what creativity means, have our leaders
Right.
prepared to be on a business meeting, have a proper business impact, what means creativity to
Yeah.
the world. Because look, something that did not change is
Right.
the value of creativity. That's the
Mm.
currency that
Mm.
makes the difference. So
That makes sense.
definitely is being on those moments, be part of the decisions, be able to add value. Like I said, as a Portuguese, adapt and add value is
Yeah.
always our key. But for me, that's my mission in life, literally,
That's fantastic.
and that's what we bring to every team.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, Joe. I really appreciate your time. I hope you have a lovely Friday. Enjoy. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. This was Joao Flores from Media.Monks,
Thank
and
you,
my name is Momo from NewCampus. Thanks
thank you,
again,
Momo.
and
Thank you,
I'll
New
be seeing
Campus.
you around.
See ya. Thank you.
See you, man. Take care, man. Bye.